Last February, a man walked into his kitchen at 5:47 in the morning. Outside, it was 11 degrees. He laid 3 pieces of firewood against the base of a wall. He lit 1 match. He made his coffee. He did not touch that fire again until the following morning. By 8 a.m., every single room in his home was 71 degrees. That man does not live off-grid. He is not a survivalist. He lives 20 minutes from a Walmart in central Indiana. He has not paid a heating bill in 11 years. The system he uses is not new technology. No contractor will ever offer it to you. No utility company will ever mention it. It is something much older, practiced quietly in specific counties across Pennsylvania and Ohio for 3 centuries, while the rest of America kept paying. Welcome to Quick Secret. Stay with me because I'm going to show you exactly what he built, why you were never told about it, and how you can replicate it in the house you already own for under $300. By the end of this video, you will never look at your thermostat the same way again. Let me start with the question nobody asks. Why do we heat air? Your furnace, your heat pump, your baseboard units, all doing the same thing. Heating air, pushing warm, invisible gas through ducts into a room, hoping it stays long enough to matter. But air holds almost no heat. The moment your furnace cycles off, that warmth disappears. That is why your house drops 6 degrees overnight. You're not buying warmth. You're buying something that evaporates. What if instead of heating air, you heated the walls themselves, the actual interior structure of your home, and those surfaces held warmth for 16, 20, even 24 hours without any additional fuel? The Romans ran heated air beneath stone floors, hypocaust. The Koreans channeled fire through clay beneath sleeping floors, ondol. The Chinese heated a brick platform from a single evening fire, the kang. And the Germanic settlers who arrived in the American colonies in the 1730s built a specific wall technique into every farmhouse they constructed, generation after generation, without interruption. Those settlers had a name. You already know it. We call them the Amish. Now here is where most people make a mistake. They hear the word Amish and think, simple people, low-tech by accident. That is exactly wrong. The Amish are low-tech because they made a deliberate, rational decision to reject specific technologies they believed would cost them something more valuable than convenience. In 1919, old order Amish communities in Lancaster County held a series of governance meetings, the Ordning Discussions. The question was simple. Would they connect to the public utility grid? The bishops said no. Their reasoning was not mystical. It was strategic. They had watched English neighbors who connected in the early 1900s. Those neighbors started paying monthly bills. They lost skills. Control moved piece by piece from the household to the company. One bishop was recorded saying, paraphrased from community memory, "A wire runs 2 directions. Power comes in, control goes out." That was 1919. While the rest of rural America spent the next century deepening its dependence, the Amish spent that same century refining the heating systems that needed no meter, no bill, no company. What they have today is not primitive. It is optimized. I want to tell you about the first Amish home I walked into. It was summer. I was there to learn about cold cellars. But the moment I stepped into the front room, something stopped me. The walls had weight to them. Not the hollow lightness of drywall. Dense. Heavy. When I pressed my hand against an interior wall, it felt like pressing against something that could absorb you. I asked the man of the house, I'll call him Daniel, what the walls were made of. He smiled the way Amish men sometimes smile when an outsider asks something obvious. "Clay," he said, "and stone, same as my grandfather built." I asked if those walls ever got cold in winter. He shook his head slowly. "Not once, not since I fired them in the morning. Fired them, like firing a kiln." That phrase stayed with me for 3 years. When I finally understood what it meant, I went back. That is when I learned exactly what that wall was, how it was built, and what it was doing inside that house every single winter night. This is exactly the kind of thing we track down here on Quick Secret. Knowledge that still exists, still works, that you simply were never told about. Before the steps, you need the principle. Because if you understand it, you can adapt it to any house. There's a concept in building science called thermal mass. It is the ability of a material to absorb heat, hold it, and release it slowly over time. Different materials hold vastly different amounts of heat before their temperature rises. Air holds almost nothing. Fiberglass insulation holds almost nothing. Standard drywall holds very little. Brick holds moderate amounts. Dense stone holds a lot. Clay holds a lot. Water holds the most of any common material, nearly twice the capacity of concrete by volume. Your modern home is built almost entirely of low-mass materials. Lumber, fiberglass, half-inch drywall. When you stop heating the air inside that structure, the warmth is gone within hours because nothing in the walls ever stored it. An Amish farmhouse built the traditional way is the opposite. Dense interior walls, heavy hearths, thick clay and stone surfaces. When you heat those surfaces, Even briefly, even once, they hold the warmth and release it slowly back into the room for far longer than any furnace cycle. Penn State University's agricultural extension publications documented this. Adding significant thermal mass to the right surfaces can reduce heating demand by 30 to 40% before any other modification. On a $250 monthly bill, that is $75 to $100 gone every month, just from what your walls are made of. But the passive solar version relies on sunlight. The Amish technique I'm going to show you works in windowless rooms, at midnight, in a blizzard, because it does not use the sun. It uses one small fire, built once per day. That is the entire mechanism. The technique is called, in traditional Pennsylvania Dutch, the Stube Wall. Stube, S-T-U-B-E, is an old German word for the front heated room of a farmhouse. The Stube Wall is not a fireplace, not a furnace. It is a wall designed to function as a heat battery. Here is exactly how it works. You choose an interior wall, not an exterior wall, that is critical. Exterior walls are cold on one side, so any heat they store leaks outward. An interior wall faces two directions into your living space. Every calorie it releases goes directly into your home. The best candidate is a wall running through the center of the house, shared between two rooms, because it radiates in both directions simultaneously. You add thermal mass to that wall. The traditional Amish method used hand-mixed clay plaster, local clay, coarse sand, straw, and a natural fiber binder, applied in layers roughly 1 inch thick over the existing wall surface. 1 inch of properly mixed clay plaster adds approximately 30 to 40 pounds per square foot of thermal storage to that wall. You do not need clay plaster today. Go to any home improvement store. Buy dark slate veneer tile or dense dark ceramic floor tile. Buy thin set mortar. Apply the tile directly to your existing wall surface from floor to ceiling. This is a beginner level tile project. The technique is available in dozens of tutorial videos. For a standard wall section, 8 feet tall, 12 feet wide, you are spending between $150 and $200 in materials depending on your market. When it dries, you have a Stube Wall. The next morning you do the following. Place a small cast iron wood stove directly against the base of that tiled wall, or a heavy clay pot of hot coals, or a cast iron Dutch oven on a trivet. Keep a low, steady heat source against the wall for 90 minutes. During those 90 minutes, the dense stone surface absorbs thermal energy. Heat migrates through the tile, through the mortar, into the wall behind it. The mass charges the way a battery charges, slowly, completely. Then you remove the heat source. The wall is now charged. For the next 20 to 22 hours, that wall releases its stored warmth steadily back into your rooms. Not in a blast, continuously, silently, like a stone that was warm at noon and is still warm to your hand at midnight. The man in Indiana I told you about built this into a wall separating his living room from his kitchen, dark slate tiles, a second-hand cast iron stove that cost him $140. Total materials under $280. His first winter using the system, his monthly gas bill dropped from $240 to $41. The $41 was cooking gas only. He heats his home with one fire, built once each morning. Now you should be asking a question. If this works, and it does work, it has worked across 3 centuries of harsh northeastern winters, why has nobody offered it to you? Why did no contractor mention it? Why does no utility company suggest it? Why wasn't it in the home your builder sold you? Here is where I want to be precise, because this is the part where people either overstate what happened or dismiss it. Neither is right. What happened was not a conspiracy. It was economic incentives shaping building standards over decades. After World War II, the United States built 17 million new homes in under 15 years. Speed, repetition, standardization. The guidelines governing those homes were shaped by industry groups with a direct financial interest in what went inside them. The American Gas Association had, by the 1950s, developed deep relationships with the committees writing residential construction standards. The result? Houses oriented to face the street instead of the sun, filled with mechanical heating systems rather than passive thermal ones. A house facing north needs a furnace. A house that needs a furnace needs fuel. And if you need fuel, someone sells it to you every single month for the rest of your life. That was not malice. It was incentive. An incentive, over decades, shapes an entire industry. The Amish watched this happen from the outside. Already off the grid since 1919, they kept building the old way. Stube walls, heavy chimneys, stone floors, systems that needed nothing from anyone, not out of stubbornness, out of clarity, and the results speak for every winter that followed. Here is the practical setup. Everything you need. Level 1 is the window system. Under $120, you can start this weekend. Find every south-facing window in your house. Stand at each one at noon. If direct sunlight pours through between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m., it faces south. Most homeowners actively block these windows. Heavy curtains, furniture in front of the glass. They are blocking the only free heat source they have. Instead, from October through March, Leave every south-facing window completely uncovered during daylight. Move the furniture, pull the curtains aside, let the light pour in. Directly in the path of that sunlight, place thermal mass. The most effective low-cost option, 5-gallon buckets, painted flat black on the outside, filled completely with water. A single 5-gallon bucket holds more thermal energy than a 200-pound piece of granite. Water is the supreme storage material. Buckets cost $4 at any hardware store. If aesthetics matter, build a simple wooden shelf in front that hides them while allowing airflow. At sunset, close insulated thermal curtains over those same windows. Thermal curtains with foam backing, $25 to $45 per panel. Trap the warmth the buckets are now releasing overnight. Without them, and that heat escapes through cold glass by morning. Total cost, $60 to $120. Documented heating load reduction, 15 to 25%. Level 2 is the full Stube Wall build, under $300 total. Choose your interior wall, tile it floor to ceiling with the densest dark tile available. Source a small secondhand cast iron stove for $80 to $150. Each morning, 90 minutes of fire against the wall base. Remove the heat source. Let the wall do the rest for the next 22 hours. That is the entire system. Now, I want to be honest with you, because that is what this channel is built on. This system works better in some conditions than others. If your home has serious insulation problems, single pane windows, no attic insulation, gaps, letting cold air through, address those first. The Stube Wall still works, but sealing the structure first makes it far more effective. If you live somewhere with very little winter sun, Level 1 underperforms. Level 2, the Stube Wall scheme is independent of sunlight and works anywhere. And this is supplemental, not a complete replacement. In moderate winters, homeowners using the full build report not touching their furnace for weeks. In extreme cold, it reduces demand dramatically without necessarily eliminating it. What it does, in every case, in every climate, in every house, it reduces your heating bill, measurably, starting the first month you use it. That is not a promise. That is physics. I want to tell you about a woman named Rita. Rita lives in central Ohio, 63 years old, retired, fixed income. She lives alone in the house she shared with her husband for 28 years before he passed in 2019. In January of 2020, her gas bill hit $340. She called the gas company. She asked about assistance programs. She was told she earned $30 too much per year to qualify. Her neighbor, an Amish man whose family had farmed the adjacent land since the 1940s, saw her at her mailbox that evening. He asked how she was getting on. She told him about the bill. He nodded. The following Saturday, he arrived with his 2 sons in a truck bed full of dark slate tile. By Sunday evening, the wall between Rita's living room and her front hallway was tiled floor to ceiling. Her neighbor showed her how to heat a cast iron pot on her kitchen stove, carry it to the wall base each morning, and let it rest there for an hour with her coffee. The following January, Rita's gas bill was $65. She contacted me after finding earlier work I had done on traditional building methods. She said, "I want people to know this is real. I want them to know a neighbor gave me back my warmth." $67 from $340. That is what this system does when it is built properly. What you have learned tonight is not fringe knowledge. It is not alternative science. It is not wishful thinking. It is building physics practiced continuously for more than 500 years, longer than the United States has existed, by communities who understood one thing that modern construction forgot entirely. A house should provide for the people inside it, not the other way around. The situation most Americans are in, spending a significant portion of their monthly income to keep a box of lumber warm enough to be livable, is not normal. It is not inevitable. It is the result of specific decisions made by specific industries over a specific century, decisions that prioritized ongoing revenue over household independence. The Amish refused those decisions. They kept building the old walls, teaching their children to fire them each morning, passing down the knowledge their great-great-grandfathers carried from the Black Forest of Germany into the Pennsylvania soil in the 1730s. That knowledge never disappeared. It was just held quietly in farmhouse kitchens and tiled interior walls in Holmes County and Lancaster County, passed from grandfather to grandson, waiting. Tonight, you have it. Not a counterfeit, not a product. The actual system, the actual principle, the actual steps. This is Quick Secret. And this is what we exist to do. Track down the knowledge that still works, that has always worked, that you simply were never handed, and give it to you directly. You were not supposed to know this. The modern energy economy functions better when you don't. But the knowledge survived anyway, in the walls and the winters and the morning fires of families who never stopped doing things the right way. Now it's yours. Here's what I want you to do before you close this. Walk to the south side of your house. Find your south-facing windows. If there are heavy curtains over them, open them right now and leave them open tonight. Tomorrow morning the sun rises, whether you collect it or not. In the comments, type 1 if you're starting with the window system this weekend. Type 2 if you're building the full Stube Wall. Type 3 if you already have a stone or brick interior wall in your home and you just realized you have been sitting on a partial version of this system without knowing it. I read every comment. And this channel grows because people find something real here and pass it on. Subscribe to Quick Secret, not as a favor, but because every week I bring another piece of this back. Next week's video is something I researched for 8 months. It is a water heating method used in Mennonite communities in northern Indiana. No electricity, no gas, no solar. It heats water to 140 degrees using a single material and one principle of basic chemistry. Total cost, $22, runs indefinitely. I have seen it. I have measured it. It is real. You found this channel for a reason. This is Quick Secret. And the sun comes up tomorrow morning whether you're ready for it or not.